Please be seated. The court is now in session. As we scheduled, today the Chamber will hear the testimony of a witness, TCW 164. Dawan San, could you report the attendance of the parties and individuals for today's proceeding? Dawan San, Mr. President, for today's proceeding, all parties are present. As for Nuon Chie, he is present in the holding cell downstairs pursuant to the decision by the trial chamber concerning his health. The national lead co-lawyer for civil parties is absent due to his personal business. As stated by the President, today we will hear the testimony of a witness, TCW 164. The witness took an oath yesterday, and through the best knowledge, the witness has no relationship by blood or by law through any other civil parties recognized in this case, nor through any of the two accused. The witness is ready to be called by the chamber. We also have a reserve witness, that is TCW 689, who already took an oath and confirmed the witness has no relationship by blood or by law through any of the two accused or any of the civil parties. Thank you. President, thank you. Counsel Victor Coupe, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning. Good morning, Your Honours. Good morning, Counsel. I have two very brief points to raise, Mr. President, before we start with this witness. One point is, in fact, relating to this particular witness. And the other point I would like to raise is about tomorrow's witness. Starting with today's witness, yesterday evening we received an email from the prosecution saying that some documents will be shown to this witness. Some of these documents are, it seems, photos. I don't think we have a problem with this late notice of photos to be shown to this witness. We do have a problem, however, with the document E3/1662, which is a 370-page document, and which is a document which wasn't put on the interface before the deadline of yesterday, 12 o'clock. Now, normally, we are all about flexibility when it comes to documents which are to be shown to witnesses. So normally we wouldn't have a problem with this. However, as I understand, when we try to put documents on the interface the day before 12 o'clock, it seems to be a very strict deadline. So if you allow this document E3/1662 to be presented to this witness, I would hope the trial chamber would grant us the same flexibility when at one point we might be late. Otherwise, if you feel that the rules should be strictly applied when it comes to placing documents on the interface, then of course that is up to your chamber. But I would like to raise that particular point before we start with this witness. My second point is in relation to the witness tomorrow. Your chamber is aware that we have asked specifically to have this witness appear before you. However, this witness was also on the list of the prosecution, and it is, as you know, already on the list of proposed witnesses, experts and civil parties. And we would just like to have confirmation from the chamber that it is the prosecution that will start questioning TCW 689 tomorrow, and that the defense will start afterwards with their cross-examination. We would like to know that in advance and preferably as early as possible. Thank you.
Prosecutor. Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning, Mr. President and Your Honors. I would like to respond to the submission by Nunchi's counsel regarding this document. During the process of preparing the questions for this witness, we came across some important information regarding the photos of those who are related to this witness, and are the photos of people that this witness may know as they worked together. And we also found that the photos could be found through the DCCAM library, and during the conduct of the research, we worked with the DCCAM and we only obtained the photos from DCCAM yesterday afternoon, that is around 5:30 p.m. And the prosecution is of the view that the photos that we would request to be shown to the witness are of an important nature and to assist the chamber in seeking the truth. And for that reason, the witness was shown a photo of his relatives during the interview with DCCAM, and the photos of the relatives of this witness so far have not bear any reference number, either D number or E number. And I would like to put the questions to the witness in order to get to know the relationship between the witness and the photos and the people in the photo. And in another photo that we just found this morning before the hearing, we would like to submit that through, that is photo D108/3.3 and P11484. The document raised by Nunchi's counsel is E3/1662. That document is more than 30 pages long, but we will more than 300 pages long, but we only take EN 00171490 in order to clarify the name of the individuals that the witness may know. And during the course of the preparation for this witness, we also received information that the witness will be called on the 25th of June 2013, and for that reason we did not have time to submit it through the interface, and based on Rule 87.4, I submit that the chamber accept these documents.
Thank you, Mr. President. I believe that my learned colleague is misinforming the tribunal on the question of how the prosecution did or did not become aware of the existence of these photographs. It's wrong to say that these photographs were presented to the witness on the 6th of July 2003 during a DCCAM interview, because during that DCCAM interview the witness mentioned the fact that she already had the photographs. But the DC Cam people do not mention that, only mentioning a biography, which is that of her brother. That's the first thing. So since the 6th of July 2003, there has been a DC Cam interview record during which the person says that they had the photograph in their possession, but DC Cam doesn't show it. Moreover, the photograph has a case file number 1 code, which implies that it was easily accessible to the prosecution services without needing to go through the more complicated services, perhaps in DC Cam. It is simply available in the file for case 001. And so I would tend to endorse what my colleague of the defense has said, which is that the prosecution services here are going beyond the limitations that they themselves have established for putting documents onto the interface, and they are communicating documents to us several hours late, which have been available for a very long time, in fact, and orally request the submission of new documents on the 87.4 rule. And on our side, when we've made such requests, we were always told that we had to do it in writing, and so that is why we oppose the submission of these photographs by the prosecution bench. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President, if I might add just a small remark. The answer of the prosecution seems also to indicate that we're talking about photos in relation to S21, and I'm not quite sure how these photos and the related documents are in the scope of this present trial. So we also seem to have now a scope of the trial discussion or point or problem added to the problem already raised by me and my colleague.
President, thank you. The prosecution, you may proceed. Prosecutor, I would like to respond briefly to the submission and the photo that was shown to the witness during the interview or at a later stage. In fact, the photos are attached to the biographies, and I will not refer to the 4 photographies. I submit that we only show the photo to the witness and want to confirm the relationship of the witness to those in the photos. And in fact, the witness was notified by the chamber that the witness would be testified on the 25th of June, and we did not have sufficient time to gather all these documents, and only recently that we received the photos from DC Cam. And the photo was actually requested by the chamber during the testimony of a witness, Cambodia, and for that reason I submit that the chamber accepted these documents. President. Judge Cartwright, please proceed.
Thank you, President. The Chamber has 2 or 3 questions to ask the prosecutors and the defence. There appear to be 2 categories of documents. The first appear to be photographs, and at least some of those appear to be new documents. Is that the situation?
Prosecutor. Yes, there are 2 kinds of document. One is E3/1662, which is a list of prisoners prepared by our office in 2008, and the second type of document is photographs, and there are 2 photographs. One doesn't bear any reference E or D number, and the second one is D108/32.3 through P1184. It is part of case 001, and it was used in case 001.
So I'm asking only about the photographs at this stage. Are both the photographs in effect new documents, that is, documents that have not been put before the Chamber, and obviously neither has been assigned an E3 number? Is that correct? Set aside the S21 list for the moment, please, just the photographs.
That is correct. Those photos do not have any E number.
And there are 2 photographs, is that correct?
Yes, there are 2 photographs.
Now moving to the document E3/1662, that is the list of prisoners at S21 that has been referred to in court on previous occasions. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you. Now, the defence, Mr. Kopi, at first you indicated you had no real problem with the introduction of 2 photographs. Do you object to those coming in as new documents under Rule 87.4?
To be honest, Judge Cartwright, I do not really object. Like I said earlier, I'm all about flexibility, especially when it comes to photos and not long documents. I just hope that we, in the future, will be extended the same flexibility. So this will be my point.
Well, thank you for that indication. Perhaps while you're still on your feet, the long document is now clarified as one that we're all quite familiar with, and although the recording of it on the daily interface is an indication that the Chamber has given strongly to the parties, it is indeed a courtesy. And the Chamber is inquiring if you have any major objection to it being used today, some principled objection.
Again, Judge Cartwright, we don't. It's the same discussion. Sometimes we are preparing at the last moment, and if we would have the same flexibility, if we're not always exactly in time on 12 o'clock, that is our only point, really.
Well, thank you. The Chamber will certainly bear that comment in mind. Thank you, Mr. Kopi. Mr. Verken? Mr. Verken? I have the same questions to put to you. Do you object to the 2 photographs coming in as new evidence under Rule 87.4?
Oui.
Yes.
for your objection, please.
L'absence totale.
The total absence of flexibility. I'm an elderly man. No, seriously. I think that these things have been available for a long time, and the prosecution has called for the appearance of this witness, and for weeks, if not months, we have been told that these witnesses belong to the top 5, top 10, top 20, goodness knows what, that there has been time to prepare for them, and on our side, with considerably less resources and many difficulties in submitting documents, we are denied certain resources, and I don't really see why the flexibility should be granted to the prosecution only. But of course, if the lady could see a photocopy, then perhaps my opinion would change.
Mr. Verkin, the second issue is the S21 list of prisoners E3/1662. This is a document that has been referred to on a number of occasions during this trial. Do you have any principled objection to it being examined today, with its only defect being that it was not on the daily interface?
No.
No.
Thank you very much.
The President, the Chamber wishes to inform the parties to the proceedings regarding the request by the co-prosecutor to put these documents before the chamber. First document is 3/1662, which is document bearing number E3. This document was already put and debated before the chamber in the past, and that counsels for the accused did not object to that, and it has already been confirmed recently. And the co-prosecutor is now submitting that this document be put before the chamber during the examination of the witness. So this document shall be allowed. And regarding the two photos in the co-prosecutor's submission, the chamber notes that the prosecutor has failed to follow what has been written in the Internal Rule 87, subparagraph 4. Nonetheless, since this witness appears before the chamber, and to be flexible enough, the chamber allows the co-prosecutor to put these documents during the examination of this witness. And in response to counsels for Nuon Chea regarding the testimony of TCW 689, this witness has been requested by both counsels for Mr. Nuon Chea and the co-prosecutor. And in principle, if a party requests first, then the opportunity to put question to the witness would be for the first party who made such request, and the other parties to the proceedings would then be allowed to also have the opportunity to put some questions to the witness. For TCW 689, we still maintain our practice as we did. The co-prosecutors and the lead co-lawyers will have to begin putting questions for this witness before counsels for Mr. Nuon Chea and Khieu Samphan. Next, court officer is now directed to bring in the witness into the courtroom. The President. Good morning, Madam Witness. What's your name? Response. Very good morning, Mr. President and Your Honors. I am Ak Hain. Question. Thank you, Madam Ak Hain. How old are you? Response. I am 56 years old. Question. Thank you. Madam Ak Hain, please be reminded that Before you proceed to respond to questions by parties to the proceedings and the bench, please observe some pause. Wait until you see the red light on your console before you proceed so that your message can be properly conveyed through interpreting. Where do you live? Response. Currently, I live in Angkor Chai Kraum village, Moha Knyong, sub-district, Koh Sotin, district of Kampong Cham. Question. What do you do for a living? Response. I am a farmer. Question. What's your father's name and what's your mother's name? Response. My father is Porn and my mother is Lun. Question. What's your husband's name and how many children do you have? Response. My husband's name is Song Pao. We have 4 children. The President. Thank you, Madam Ak Hain. According to the report by the greffier of the trial chamber a moment ago, you are not in a relationship with a civil party or an accused, including Mr. Nuon Chi and Khieu Sampon, and that you already took the oath yesterday here at this court. Is that true? Response. Yes, it is. The President. Thank you, Madam Ak Hain. Now the Chamber wishes to notify you of your right under Rule 28, right against self-incrimination of witnesses. As a witness, you may object to making any statement that might tend to incriminate you. In other words, you have the right not to incriminate yourself. As the witness before the chamber, you shall respond to all questions put to you by the bench or parties to the proceedings, except in your responses that you feel are self-incriminating. And as the witness, you shall tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. And this truth must be based on the experiences and knowledge you acquired when you respond to questions by the parties and the bench. Madam Ak Hain, have you ever given any interview to the co-investigators of the ECCC during the past years? Response. Yes, I have, on 2 occasions. Question. Do you still recollect the exact dates of those interviews? Response. First, I was interviewed at my home in my hometown. It was in 1993, on that first occasion. They came with my biography and they were searching for the prisoners at Tuol Sleng prison, and my brother, whose name appeared on Tuol Sleng list, was shown to me. At the beginning, I did not know anything about this, but then after being shown this document, I learned that my brother was executed at Tuol Sleng prison. Question. What about the second interview? When was it? Do you still remember this? And where was it taken? Response. The second interview was also conducted at my home, but it was on a different date. At that time, I was 52 years old, so it was 4 years ago. The interview was conducted right at my home. Question. Can you be more precise on the exact year? Was it in 2008 or 2012 or any of the years? Response. It was in 2008, I believe, because it was 5 years ago. Question. Can you recall what you were told during the interview? Because the question that I put to you may be for different interviews, because I am asking about the interviews conducted by court officers, people from the ECCC, and you may be familiar that the court was established not before 2007. And when you mentioned about the interview in 1993, it could have been conducted by other groups of people who were not officials from the court. Now, my question is, how many times did you give such interview to people from the ECCC in 2008? Response. It was only on one occasion, only, in 2008. Question. Did you also give interview to staff member from the DC camp? Response. I don't remember this very well, but I do recall that some researchers approached me at my home for the interview. Question. Thank you. Madam Witness, do you read and write Khmer pretty well? Response. Not pretty well, Mr. President. I did not go far enough at school because I had to drop out of school during the coup d'etat when I was about 13 years old. Question. Before you appeared before this chamber, have you had any opportunity to read your statements, or whether the statements were read out to you to refresh your memory of the accounts you gave to the co-investigators? Response. Yes, I have asked my elder sister to read out the statement to me. The President. Thank you. According to your best recollection, do you believe that the statement read out by your elder sister or the account that you gave back then still consistent? Response. Yes, the statement is still consistent. The accounts reflect what I did mention back then. You may proceed. You may continue. Witness continues. I remember the truth, the true accounts I gave them, and I still remember this precisely, and I never told things different from that. The President, thank you. Now we would like to hand over to the co-prosecutors to put questions to this witness first, and both co-prosecutors and lead co-lawyers for the civil parties will have half day for questioning. Co-prosecutor, good morning, Mr. President and Your Honors, and I thank you again. And a very good morning to you, Madam Ak Hain. I am Song Chawan, National Co-Prosecutor, along with my colleague, International Co-Prosecutor, Mr. Keith Trainer. We have some questions for you. And please respond to the questions for the purpose of ascertaining the truth. First, may I ask you how many brothers and sisters you have? Response: I have 3 siblings, 2 brothers, 1 sister. My elder brother is Pen Huon, and then Pen Son. I am Hain. Question: do your elder brothers have any revolutionary names? Response: yes, they do. My elder brother was Huon originally, but his alias is Sun. But my second brother was known as Hai originally. His revolutionary name is Hai. My original name is Hain, and I also am known as Chia. Question: thank you. Are your brothers alive? Or have they passed away? Response: my father and my brothers all died during the war in 1970s, early 70s. My father died in 1971, then my elder brother died in 1974, and then the rest were separate. And we were not united. Question: you said your brother died in 1974. Who was he? Response: my second brother was. He died in the battlefield of Brek Pno. Question: what happened to your eldest brother, the person by the name of Huon alias Sun? When did he die? Response: my brother Huon alias Sun disappeared, and I didn't know where he had gone. In 1979, I was in the refugee camp. Later on, I was repatriated, and DC camp people came to my home with the biographies of my elder brother, and he bore some number. He died at Kuk Tuoslang or Tuoslang prison. Question: thank you. We will ask more detail about your brother, but before that, I would like to also ask you a few more questions. Did your brothers ever join the Khmer Rouge soldiers army, and if so, in which area of the country? Response: my elder brothers joined the army in the North Zone. My father was also at the North Zone and died there in Svai Tiep district. My brothers joined the army at that zone. Question: do you still recollect whether this North Zone also has any code name? Response: at that time, the North Zone was known as Zone 304, and they were there at Zone 304, and I don't remember my husband's division, but he was, or they were at 304. Question: at Zone 304, what did your husband and sons do? Response: my eldest brother was in the regiment, but second son was an ordinary combatant. Question: thank you. Where did you live during the time, during the Khmer Rouge period? Response: starting from 1975, my family was separate. I personally stayed at home, and then I was sent to build dam at Bang Kang near Jihai location. I was still young. I couldn't carry dirt, so I volunteered to join the women combatant group because I believed that I found it difficult to work at the rear, so I volunteered and decided to join the women combatants in Kanchrit district, where I was offered some military training. I did not engage any fighting, but soon Phnom Penh was liberated on the and I engaged in rice transplant for 3 months before I was transferred to Phnom Penh. Phnom Penh was very quiet at that time when I arrived. Question: I am sorry to interrupt, but I will ask you questions about this, but first thing first. You said you were tasked with building dam in Bang Kang. How many people were asked to build this dam, and what were their age groups? Response: people from different villages would be gathered to build the dams. Young women as young as 16 years old would then be gathered to join the mobile group where they could build dams. And I was 16 or 17 years old, and I too was also asked to build dam. 2 people would be collected from each village to build this dam. So altogether there were a lot of people already at the dam building site. Question: thank you. Villagers were gathered to build the dam, as you mentioned, but how could they get to the work site? Response. At that time, there was no proper transportation, no cars or trucks that could transport us. We had to be walking, and we had to be carrying the buckets where we can put some dirt to build this dam. So we walk all the way from home to the working site. Question. How far is it from your place to the work site? And another question. Who ordered such workers to work at that place? Response. At that time, there were women leaders and young men leaders, and these people assigned us with tasks, and we had to go after receiving such assignments.
Question. You stated that people were gathered from the village, and there were a lot of people. And when you reached the dam building site, were people already there before you arrived? And can you give us the number of the people there? Answer. At the dam building site, there were a lot of people. When we arrived, people were working there, and the number was into thousands. And when the plane flying over, then we would lie down on the ground, and when the plane left, then we started working again. And we only returned to the village every 10 days. And over there we were bitten by mosquitoes, and there was no proper sleeping place. And I couldn't stand the mosquito bite at night. Question. What kinds of tasks were assigned to you once you were at the dam building site? Answer. The work involves carrying earth, and the dam itself was pretty high, and we had to walk up in order to carry the earth. Question. Was the working condition difficult? Answer. Yes, the work was rather difficult, and I was a 16 or 17-year girl, and we had to carry the earth all day, and at night we could not sleep because the dam was near a lake that's called the Kang Lake or Bang Kang, and there were a lot of mosquitoes. Question. I'd like to clarify on the year. You said after 1975 people were gathered to build a dam. Can you recall in what month that you left your village to the work site? Answer. It was in late 1974 and early 1975. I did not return because I moved on, and I only sent the earth-carrying baskets and the hoe back home. I only stayed there for 3 days, and then I went to become a female combatant. Question. You became a female combatant. Was it before or after the liberation of 17 April 1975? And where were you stationed? Answer. I went in late 74, early 75, so it was before the 17th April liberation. I became a female combatant and I stayed in Kratchiri district. That was in Prey Veng province. I was in the third group. In the third group of a platoon. At that time, I was in the East Zone, that is 203. Question. How long were you engaged in military training? Answer. I was trained in Swai Chech village in Kratchik district for 6 months. Question. During your training, who was your military instructor? Answer. We were put into groups and platoons. So, in fact, it was the head of the groups, the platoons, who actually gave us the instruction. Question. Can you recall the name of your instructor? And who was in charge of Zone 203? Sector 203, rather. Answer. I was in the third group in Company 13 and Sector 203 was controlled by Sao Phum. Sao Phum was the zone committee, says the witness. Question. Did Sao Phum come to give you the training or was somebody else? Answer. Sao Phum was the zone committee and of course we did not know him, we only heard of his name, that the East Zone committee was Sao Phum. Only his subordinates who gave us the training. Question. During your military training for 6 months, were you taught about the relationship of Cambodia and Vietnam or what you had to do with the Vietnamese? Answer. At that time, no. We were not told anything regarding the relationship with Vietnam. Question. As for your training, were you taught anything regarding the enemy or traitor? Answer. No. Question. After you concluded your 6-month training in the East Zone, where did you go and what year was it? Answer. I was in the East Zone and after the liberation on the 17th April and about 4 months after the liberation I was sent to Phnom Penh. And I stayed in Phnom Penh for 1 week. Then I was sent further to Kampong Saum. Question. You were sent to Kampong Saum. What kinds of tasks were you assigned while you arrived at Kampong Saum? And can you record your location while you were in Kampong Saum? Answer. At that time, we were no longer female combatants, but we were in the mobile unit. So we were sent to clean Kampong Saum area for the damaged buildings, for the factories. We cleaned those damaged buildings. Question. You said you were asked to clean a reception hall. Do you know who was it for? Answer. There was Mr. Nyam, who was in charge of a reception hall and who actually gave us order to clean the hall. Question. My question is, the reception hall or the reception place, was it for whom? Answer. I did not know that. I only clean it, make sure it is cleaned and tidy, and if there is a pothole on the road, we fill it and we clear the grass and the trees. Question. Did you ever work in a salt field? Answer. I was in Kampong Saum, and after we finished the cleaning work, then we were assigned to go to work in a salt field to put the salt into the sack and to carry the salt back and put them onto a vehicle. And each sack or bag weighed about 60 kilos, and it was very heavy for us to carry it onto a vehicle. Question. How long did you work in a salt field? Answer. I worked there in Kandal, Troi Koh, Seh So, and another salt field in Kampong Trait. After we collected all those salt, then we returned, and it took us 3 months to do so. Question. During the 3-month period that you worked in a salt field, what was the working and living conditions? Answer. It was not easy. It was difficult. You can imagine when a female carried a heavy bag of salt. We were like workers at the port. We had to carry the bags onto a vehicle. So it was difficult. Question. Did you know who was in charge of the salt field? Answer. At the salt field, the producer were separate. We were the mobile unit, and we were not related to the one who produced the salt. We only collected the salt and then we returned. The supervisor did not go. Only us, the mobile unit, went to collect the salt. Question. Who was the supervisor at the salt field? Answer. At that time, we went with the 2 100-man units, and there was a transport unit who drove us to the salt field. So for me, the one who in charge of the 100-man unit was my supervisor. Question. You said you worked for 3 months in the salt field, and after you left the salt field, where did you go and work? And in what year? Answer. It was still in 1976. I returned to Phnom Penh. Upon my arrival in Phnom Penh, I was assigned to the Central Textile Factory. Question. Where was the Central Textile Factory located? Answer. It was also known as the State Textile Factory, where we sold all kinds of clothes. It was near the Orisai market. At that time, it was not resemblant to the current Orisai market. At the center of the market was our dining hall, and all the houses surrounding the markets were for sewing clothes. It was on 2 sides of the market, and the other side was for cutting the cloth. And we were there and worked there. Question. So you were at the Central Textile place or State sewing place, and for how long did you work there? Answer. I started working there, sewing clothes there from late 1976 until the 7th January 79. Question. The central or the state sewing unit or place where you worked, was it referred to by any other specific name? Answer. It was a big sewing place. It was known as Go-9 unit, and it was part of the 870 office. Question. How did you know that the K9 office was part of the 870 office? Answer. I knew it because during the time that I worked there, I heard the head of the Go-9 office say it. And at that time, we were also told during the meetings. Question. You talk about the head of the Go-9 office. What was the name? And what did he or she tell you? Answer. The person was the head of the Go-9 office, supervising all the sewing places. The person said it was a branch of 870 office. I did not know that, but the person said that. Question. While you work in that sewing unit, what was the working hours and what was the living condition? Answer. At that time, we had to wake up at 4 in the morning. One was the socialist work and one was the core work. So the socialist work involved get up in early morning to water the vegetable, and when we returned, take a bath, and then we engage in our core work, that is sewing clothes. Question. What time did you start engaging in your core work? And what was the condition like in terms of your working condition, living condition, and your eating regime? Answer. In the actual reality, in fact, it was difficult because we had to wake up early, but after a while, we got used to it, because by 4 in the morning, a bell was rung, and then we had to wake up, carry a bucket, and water the vegetable, and our core work commenced at 7 in the morning. We took a 15-minute break at 9, and then we worked until 11 and stopped for lunch. Question. And so you stop for lunch, and then what time you start again in the afternoon? We stopped for lunch at 11, we had lunch, and we rested, and we resumed work at 1 p.m. until 4. We rested, and then we carried our bucket to water the vegetable again. So we water our vegetable 2 times, in the morning and in the afternoon. And then we return for dinner, and then we worked again until 9 p.m. Question. I'd like to move on to another topic regarding those people who worked with you. In document D94/8, which is your written record of interview with the Office of the Co-Investigating Judges, you were asked questions at EAN in Khmer 00172064, and in English 0020504849. You were asked the question, and allow me to quote. Did people in your unit disappear? And you stated, I saw people arrested and put in tightly covered trucks by armed soldiers. First, they arrested the leaders, then any deputies and members who had involvement with the North. President, witness, please wait. The counsel for Kisampona, you may proceed.
Merci, Monsieur.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wish to place an objection to the manner in which the co-prosecutor is conducting her cross-examination. Everybody here is well aware of the fact that she is addressing open questions. However, once she has certain information in hand, her questions become highly suggestive. She's simply reading out what is recorded on the PV and asking the witness to confirm. She's making very general and open questions. And this is completely meaningless.
Prosecutor, I'd like to respond, Mr. President. The approach of extracting the question and answers from the PVs have been a common practice before this court. And I don't understand at all why the defense counsel still objects to this approach. And I'd like to move on, Mr. President. President, the objection and its ground by the International Council for Kyu Sampon to the question asked by the prosecutor is not appropriate, thus overruled. However, the Chamber would like to remind the prosecution, please pose relevant questions to the facts determined by the Chamber in case 002/01, in particular the request by the prosecution to include certain witnesses, and in that request it raised the relevant facts. And we also discussed the facts during the court management meeting regarding what facts to be heard by this court in this case. And for that reason, the Chamber decided to summon additional witnesses as requested by the parties. For that reason, your question shall be exactly to the facts raised by you or other parties, and not to cover the entire facts put to the witness by the investigators of the OCIJ. You should only focus on the relevant facts concerning the joint criminal enterprise or the policy implementation. And for that reason, please focus on the relevant facts. Prosecutor, thank you, Mr. President. We will abide by your instruction. Madam Aihen, I will continue putting further questions to you. In that same document, allow me to quote once again. I saw people arrested and put in tightly covered trucks by armed soldiers. First, they arrested the leaders, then any deputies and members who had involvement with the North and East Zone networks, whom they accused of treason. Cao, the factory chairman, was arrested and disappeared in 1977 because of being connected to an East Zone network. End of quote. My question to you is, did you witness the arrest of Cao? Answer. At that time, we were sewing clothes and we worked in kind of a flats, and of course I saw a vehicle came and he was called into that vehicle and left, and then he never returned, and of course I did not know those people. At that time, wherever you were placed to work, you worked there and you were not allowed to wander around. But of course we would knew the people who were in the adjacent buildings, and I saw him being put into that vehicle and left, and later on other people also disappeared, but we did not know for sure where they were sent to or what happened to them. We only saw up to that point.
Question. When you saw Cao being loaded on the concealed vehicle, was he the only person placed on that vehicle, or was he joined by other people arrested? Response. At that time, there were not a lot of people. One person was arrested at a time. I just did not know what could have been the reason behind this arrest. Question. Is it my understanding that on the day when Cao was arrested and placed in the concealed vehicle, it was only Cao who was arrested on that day? No other people were arrested. Response. Yes, it is correct. It was Cao alone who was arrested. Question. Do you know a person by the name of Kun who worked with you? Response. Yes, I do. Question. What had become of Kun after he was arrested? Response. I don't know. I think we don't know what could have become of him. We had to focus on minding our business. We only learned that these people disappeared. That's all. Question. Is it fair to say that Kun was also disappearing from your work? Response. Yes. Co-prosecutor. Thank you. Mr. President, with your leave, I would like this document, D108-.3 and P1184 to be put up on the screen, please. The President, you may proceed. And the hard copy of the document can be now shown to the witness for examination. Question. Madam Ak Hain, can you please have a look at this photograph and tell the chamber whether you know this person or not? Response. It was a very long time ago when this photograph was taken, so I may say that I'm not quite sure I still remember this. Co-prosecutor, Mr. President, may I also ask for your leave to put up this document that we discussed this morning, the document regarding the photographs we obtained from DC Cam. The President, you may proceed. Co-prosecutor, these documents cannot be put up on the screen. We have made several copies of the document so that the chamber can examine them. Co-prosecutor, Madam Akhan, I believe you have already looked at the photo. Can you recognize who in the photo? Response. This photo is not pretty clear, but the person appears in the photo looks like my elder brother. The President, Counsel Kope, you may now proceed.
Just for the record, Mr. President, it seems that the witness is being shown another document that the parties are being shown. We have just a photo, and I could see, or maybe I'm wrong, but that the witness is having a photo with text around it. So I'm not quite sure what's happening. Maybe the prosecution can enlighten us.
Co-prosecutor, Mr. President, Your Honors and Counsels, the document I wish to show to the witness is already in her hand, and indeed the photo is attached with some text, and we have already printed the hard copies of the document for showing to parties concerned. And to make sure the photo is clear to see, we have separated from the text, but it is indeed from the same photo that appear on their text.
But what is the probative value of showing a photo with text with probably the name of the person and then ask if you recognize this person? I mean, that's not a way of properly proceeding in respect of recognizing a photo. The witness should be shown the same photo as the trial chamber and the parties. There really is no point in showing the photo with the text of who the person is.
Co-prosecutor, Mr. President, I may wish to proceed, please, because witness is still needing some time to consider this. We may proceed to another smaller topic on this. The President, you may continue. Madam
Excuse me for interrupting again. I apologize, Mr. President, but we need to establish that this witness has in fact been shown the photo with text, including the name of the person who is on the photo. Otherwise, it remains unclear what in fact this witness has been identified.
The President, Judge Sylvia Cartwright, you may now proceed.
Thank you, President. I understand that the witness has been provided with a photograph with Khmer text on the same page, and that text includes the name of the person in the photograph. Is that correct?
Response: yes, it is. The witness has been provided with the text in Khmer and a photograph.
Well, in that case, the President has asked me to uphold the objection of the Nguyen Chia defence. This photograph, as it identifies the person in the text, both of which were given to the witness, has very little value, and the prosecution may not rely on it for identification purposes. Is that the extent of the ruling, President? Thank you.
The President, thank you, Judge Cartwright. It is now appropriate moment already for the adjournment. The Chamber will adjourn for 20 minutes. Court officer is now directed to assist Madam witness during the adjournment and bring her back at 11 o'clock.
សូមក្រោកឈរ